UFOs exist. What is not certain is what they are. The Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, watches the skies, investigating sightings soon after they occur. Their investigators use the tools of science, psychology, and law enforcement to get as close to the truth as the truth will allow. Unidentified flying objects definitely exist. Only their identity remains a mystery. The mystery of UFOs over Earth.
You know, when they talk about Galileo, he'd have his telescope and he'd invite people from the scientific community to come and look in the eyepiece. They didn't believe and they wouldn't look in. And what we're facing with here is this is out there, and some of us are looking in the telescope and trying to figure out what's going on out there.
I'm MUFON's chief investigator for the states of North Carolina and Virginia. I essentially work as a volunteer and volunteer my time.
I went to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I met with Chris Bledsoe, and I videotaped what he was telling me.
I know what I saw. There's no skeptic in the world. They can say what they want sitting behind a desk, but they won't hear.
When I interviewed Chris, he described lights in the sky at 3 different locations.
As you get into the UFO investigations, you'll find people always are describing things they can't find words for. So I'm working more like a police sketch artist. We want to make this look as close to the actual event. This is the location along the Cape Fear River where 5 guys got together one night to do a little evening fishing.
We were all fishing right in this very spot.
Chris leaves his friends. He walks up to this spot on the road, and this is where he has his first encounter.
Looking this way, you see the trees in front. See where it drops off, that little hut down there?
Yeah.
That's where I was standing. And there's these 2 orange balls, huge, and they were motionless, sitting side by side.
Okay, so this is about the size that would have been over that tree right there.
But what alerted me, a 3rd one came in the blink of an eye. And I turned around in a pretty good clip, not running, but a good paced walk back to the river.
Now, this is the point in the river. Chris races back to tell his friends what he's seen. They all look up in the sky. Everybody sees these 3 lights descending rapidly.
We're all looking at the sky when these 3 big white balls that looked like stars converged and landed on the other side of the river. And they were really close. They weren't but 100 yards, maybe 150 yards on the other side of the river.
The guys drop their fishing poles right where they're standing, and they head for the truck. So the guys are in the truck, they're racing out of there, they get to the end of the road, they stop the truck, they look up, and everybody sees something strange floating in the sky. But the story doesn't end there. Chris goes home, and the barking dogs lead him outside to his backyard, and that's where the story gets really weird.
MUFON's a nonprofit scientific research organization. We have about 800 field investigators, and we get a lot of cases that come our way that we assign to local investigators, but when a real good case like this one comes along, I like to go on it personally.
Tell me what happened. You came back from your walk, you came down here, the guys are fishing down here, right?
They're sitting right here,
Okay.
right on this bottom area.
Chris appears to be a pretty respected member of the community. He's a commercial pilot. He was a very successful builder, had a good business. He's got a great family, raised 4 children, and for all intents and purposes seems to be a pretty stand-up guy.
What do you think the altitude was when they came down? You said when they came down and then slowed down like
I'd say 500–600 feet when they slowed down, but they were coming down at a speed unbelievable. It looked like a star from a million miles away, and then it just, boom, didn't stop, but it looked like a cushion of something caught it, and then they come down about this speed, just gently.
I have to say that Chris Sr. just came across so well. And his demeanor and his body language and just his very simple talk. And he was obviously a very intelligent man, but at the same time a very simple man. And I just got the sense that there was an element of truth here.
And was that the end of it?
It was the end until I got home. And then it started again at the house.
What happened at the house?
That's when my dogs went nuts, and I ran out to see what was bothering them. My Chesapeake took off in the woods. I ran around to cut them off, whatever it was, and that's when this entity is standing 3 or 5 feet away from me. So it went on a long time. I mean, it was a hectic night. It was totally something I'll never forget. It haunts me. My Chesapeake runs right, it's about right here and stops. I wasn't even thinking an entity or nothing like that. I'm thinking some sort of animal. All these dogs are facing this way. The Chesapeake's facing this way, and her hair is standing up from the back of her head to her rear end. I look back this way, and right there, it was just standing there. Right on that little rise, but if I reached my hand out and leaned over, I could touch it. So and it would have been right about, here? Yes, sir, right there.
No more than 3 or 4 feet away.
That's the max. And he was no higher than, say, this high up on your arm. It didn't move, it didn't blink. It had red eyes, but it was glowing. I mean, look at the chill bumps. See that? Mm-hmm. You can't fake that, guys.
As far as looking at it, it was just stoic. It was glowing, there. But there was no nose twitching, no muscle movement, just like a statue would be looking at.
It looked like if you dipped a person in glass and it molded to their body, and you could see through the glass inside, that's what it looked like. And it looked proportionately like a child, a little person.
These creatures did not look like the standard close encounters aliens that we have kind of grown up to know and love. Dipped in glass and a very shiny surface that apparently went from literally, you know, fingertip to head and everything else.
For a second, I was frightened, and I stood here and I said, okay, I'm a big guy. If you want me, you got me. You got me cornered. I have nowhere to go.
This was an important part of this investigation for us because I think most people are going to look at what his reaction was and they're going to believe him.
Were you moving around?
I wasn't moving a bit. I was frozen, and I was looking at it, and it was looking at me. And I was thinking real fast, if it's gonna get me, it's gonna get me. And I just kind of calmed down and relaxed. And, you know, I felt at peace at that moment.
Where's the dog at this point?
It was coming straight to it. Came right through here. And when it got to right in there, the whole thing disappeared.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind if we just take a minute to discuss and evaluate?
Sir. What do you think, man? I don't know.
Undescribable. Incredible.
I mean, we get a lot of stories. We get a lot of cases that involve entities, humanoids, but I've never seen a case before where the entity was just 4 feet away from you. To me, that's pretty amazing.
Didn't notice any arm movement. I mean, it's basically this deal, looking right at him.
Robotic creature standing there that just vanished in thin air.
1 second was there, the next second was gone.
Yeah. As far as his description, it's staying consistent with his original submission that he made to MUFON.
I'm still processing. I don't know what to think right now.
If he was hoaxing this, if he was trying to scam it, why wouldn't he just use the description everybody else uses?
This is a very interesting case, but at the same time it's a very tough one because there's no physical evidence and we have to rely on strictly witness testimony. So far we've only been able to interview Chris, but there were 4 other people involved, and I'd really like to see what they have to say about this.
As far as I know, we're getting invaded by UFOs. I remember being one on the right, one in the middle, and one toward the left.
I'm thinking, boy, this is really sizing up to be a whopper.
Like an invasion, you know what I'm saying? That's what we were thinking in our mind.